Alrighty, so who is ready and raring to go for summer camp? I know I am. I'm sure all of you are. Welcome to today's Wednesday webinar, a 2021 summer camp update. My team here is ready and raring to go, but first we're going to dive into a little bit of news while everybody else rolls on in for today's webinar. As I've been mentioning in the last few weeks, there is so much going on. It's really fantastic. It's really just feels so great to be getting back at it. Not only is summer camp like a month away, but there's just a lot going on. So I'm going to share with you just briefly here while everybody continues to roll in for this today's webinar here, just some of the goodies that are going on. For those of you who are attending summer camp, you probably have seen this, but just want to reiterate that you can get your latest and greatest summer camp guides, leader guides, all of that at cpcbsa.org/camp form. So you're going to have all of the latest information there. Download those. It has the maps, information. There's just literally everything you need to know, except for, of course, answering all the questions you're going to have today for summer camp. So we're going to get to those as well. So check those out. Also, a couple of awesome things from Adventure Club here that I wanted to share. We have the hiking challenge coming up here shortly before you know it, June 19th through 27th, and another round of Scout Quest that is just going to be a hoot. So please join us for that at cpcbsa.org/adventure club. And as I mentioned last week, we teased this up. This is going to be awesome. It is a hiking, paddling, biking summer experience is what we're calling it. And it is a longer format adventure. And so you can dive in onto this. It is a fantastic way not only to get a 50-miler patch, but to just have a really, really fantastic, great time. You can earn prizes. As a matter of fact, there's a free jacket if you sign up before June 4th. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/adventure club. That is going to be fun. All the information's there. You can read more about all of these things. They're just going to be a blast. So check that out. Also, we still have, for those of you looking to head outdoors on Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, we still have availability for some family camping. So if you haven't been to our places on the coast, oh my gosh, Camp Meriwether is fantastic. You can mosey on over to Camp Clark too, and you can check out I think it's more than 2 miles of beach. So you pretty much can't beat that. And I'm sure Todd and Chris will be able to toot that horn as well today on our camping webinar. It is fantastic. It is just it is so unique, so special, and just a great way to connect with your family and have a little campfire on the beach. You can't beat it. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/family camping. Also, we're going to share this here real quick here because this is going to be great. We launched Ranch Camp. So we can also talk a little bit more about this, but basically, instead of our horse treks that we normally do, because of all the wildfires that we had, we can't do horse treks like we normally do. So the crew at the Wranglers at Butte Creek came up with Ranch Camp. Let's hear a little bit from Scott DiPaolo about what Ranch Camp's all about.
Howdy, folks. Hey, I'm Scott DiPaolo. I'm the head wrangler out here at Butte Creek Scout Ranch. And I'll tell you, the ranch ain't all about riding and roping and doing cowboy stuff. We do some other things out here. Like this summer at Ranch Camp, we're going to teach you how to fly fish, how to cook over an open fire, and how to find true north by the stars. How to guide yourself when you have no other way to go. And we're hoping that you'll come out and you'll enjoy Ranch Camp with us. So get on cpcbsa.org, check us out, or just call in to 503-226-3423. We're going to talk to Deanne. She's going to point you in the right direction for getting signed up. Can't wait to see you out here this summer. Make it a great day and happy trails.
here. Happy trails from Scott. That is awesome. It is going to be a hoot. You can go to cpcbsa.org/ranch camp. And there's another video there from Scott as well. He'll tell you a little bit more about it. It is going to be fantastic. They have an adventure set up that is just going to be so unique and so much fun. And there are 2 dates for it, as you can see here, June 19th or on August 21st. Those are the start dates for those. So check those out. It's going to be great. Let's see here. Let's go now up to, this every time I do that, it seems to repeat the videos. Gotta love that. Lastly here, one other thing about AeroCore. If you haven't seen this yet, this is fantastic. It's going to be just a fantastic week to really dive in and help with a service project out in the Willamette National Forest. So let's play this video here. It'll give you a little teaser about what AeroCore is all about. It's about getting these kids outdoors and helping out in the backcountry.
This is Lava Lake's trail crew with 8 crew members working on Lava Lake Trail.
Affirmative.
That's an affirmative.
A week of service in the woods. Boy, you just can't beat that. It's going to be a great time. You can check that out at cpcbsa.org/OA or order the Aero page and find out more about OA there too. It's going to be great. So let's go to this next one here. And lastly, as we said, 31 days left. Woohoo! That's why we're all here to chat about summer camp. But a quick note, and if you have questions about this, the crew here can answer questions too about camp staff, because we really still need some medics and food service staff. So please check that out at cpcbsa.org/camp staff. If you have anybody who's 15 years old and older, they can join us at camp staff. Fantastic experience. And Todd and Chris can, of course, tell you their personal stories at any time about being on camp staff, and it's why they're here today. So check that out. Also, you can always get all this information, all of our latest and greatest information at cpcbsa.org/calendar or on Facebook, and check out our latest. All right, enough of my yakking here. Let's dive into our summer camp update. As you know, today is going to be really more of a Q&A, kind of a panel discussion. We're going to answer a lot of questions. So I now will hand the ball off to Chris and Todd. Take it away, gents.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see those of you who are back again. We're gearing up for camp, as Chris has mentioned a couple of times here. And as we get closer and closer to it, the picture is becoming more and more clear. For months now, we've been sharing with you that camp will be different, and that's okay. And that part we know is absolutely true. And that's so just recently, we released program planning guides, and those planning guides are meant to help be the start of helping guide your pack, your troop toward knowing what you need to know about what camp will look like this summer. Coming up June 1st are the pre-camp leader meetings. And that's where the camp directors, the camp specific ones, is where the camp directors will have a chance to share with you face to computer face what exactly their plans are for camp and how awesome it will be. Next slide, please. We do know that there's going to be a whole lot of things to do at camp this summer. We compiled just a very brief list of things that are going to be happening at camp this summer. I had to edit this list to fit on the slide pretty well because, you know, I didn't even put swimming, hiking, tide pooling, riding. I did put friends a couple of times on purpose. As friends, I mean, how much time have our scouts spent with their friends in this last year? So we're looking very much forward to that and then getting some time together. So for the purposes of this meeting, if you have questions about what merit badge will be at what camp and advancement opportunities and those sorts of things, I ask that you hold those for the camp specific meeting so that your camp director can address their plan directly with you as that develops. These program guides had about 3 weeks from the time that we got guidance from the state to the time that it had to be published and keep our promise to get that into your hands. So it will continue to evolve as camp gets closer. One other piece of that puzzle is that we have learned that the state of Oregon intends to issue some additional guidance here, very likely still this week. Well, that guidance will change what we are able to do and what we're planning to do again. And that's the nature of living in a pandemic, is that things keep on moving. So, so we have some resources available for you, and then we have some other information as well. Next slide, please. We've been receiving questions, as you can imagine, about what exactly is camp going to be. The pre-camp leader meeting, here's some details on that. The first portion of it, just like every year, is the council portion of it. These are our policies, procedures, the things that you need to know to show up at camp. So you've got your paperwork in order, you've got everybody with the things that they need to have, and that is all lined up and dialed in so you don't get surprises when you walk into camp. We really want to avoid that. I learned that as a teacher, that you do not want surprises at conference time. We don't want surprises when you show up to summer camp, and that's a great way to avoid it. And then once we get through that part of it, we go to the camp specific meetings, where there will be a breakout room for each summer camp, and these will be recorded. So if you have siblings going to different camps, anything like that, these pre-camp leader meetings will be recorded so that you can view them, share them with your scouts, any of that sort of thing between then and camp. This Friday, maybe sooner, but more likely this Friday, those invitations will be going out as we're running into some, we're making sure we're getting it set up correctly so that everything operates smoothly and those recordings actually happen. Let's see, so the leader guides we talked briefly about. You can access those on the cpcbsa.org website under tools/camping forms. One of those forms to pay attention to is the special needs form. This is a great time to fill out that special needs form for a scout who has special dietary needs or extra kind of support in different ways, to let the camp know that that's coming and that they can help you prepare for what needs to happen for their time at camp. And then camp specific questions I mentioned just a moment ago, those really need to be held until we get to that pre-camp leaders meeting, and the camp directors can address those directly. The question that we've heard a lot about, what if somebody gets sick? And we do have quite a few troops and some packs that travel from some distance. And when they do, every year, if a scout gets sick in any kind of a significant way, the primary thing is they don't want to be sick at camp. So we need to find a way to send them home. The challenge is with COVID, each troop coming to camp from far away needs to have that plan, their own plan locked in, have parents at the ready, not on vacation in Bermuda, but ready to come to camp, retrieve their child, or the troop needs to have some kind of a plan to get that child home. The thing to draw a little bit of a circle around here is if a child is sick at camp, it's unlikely that they'll be able to be held at camp for very long and supported. And that could be, and also if it is a COVID situation, it's unlikely that they would be allowed on public transportation for some time. So that's a point to really discuss thoroughly with the parents of your troop. And if you're coming from far away with a pack, there's a couple of you, that you discuss that before you ever leave. I mentioned the guidance that we're expecting from the Oregon Health Authority this week. They're supposed to be giving us some more information on masking, maybe on dining, we hope on dining, and on cohorting, and how that might be structured or applied in some ways that would be more friendly to camp, I guess, and hopefully not any more friendly to COVID. And then finally, keeping everybody safe. It's everyone's job. In the planning guide, not the program guide, two different guides. In the planning guide, the first 2 or 3 pages talk about the COVID procedures for our council as of today. Understand this, with new guidance, those might evolve a little bit, but those are going to be those main procedures. Each and every adult coming to camp needs to be on board with those procedures before you ever leave home. That's a really important thing. Camp will not be a place to discuss, well, I don't want to wear a mask or this, that, or the other. If the rule is we need to wear a mask, it just can't be that. We're not going to put our camp directors and our 16-year-old staff in a position of having those sorts of arguments. It's just whatever the procedure is that the state has mandated that we need to do, that is our procedure that we all get to follow. So I don't mean to come across too strongly on that, but it's just not the time or the place to have that conversation, and it really won't change anything about how our organization, country, troop runs to have that conversation at camp. So we're not having those debates at camp, to be clear. If you have concerns about that, if you wonder how that's going to be applied, have that conversation with the camp director before you ever get there. That's probably one of the main takeaways from our COVID procedures this summer. If you have those concerns, have the conversation up front. Again, no surprises, right? It's good for all of us. So that's that piece of the puzzle. And so let's move on along. Next slide. You'll notice that our webinar format is quite different from what we've experienced in these last couple months. We now have the frame of the plan rolled out to everybody, so we know there's questions and we want to address those. So that's where we are. We're to the questions time. So somebody want to start rolling those out?
I'll go ahead and get started, Chris. We'll go ahead and answer some of these questions that we have up here. Please go ahead and type them in as we go. The first question that came up from Kyle Davis was, what about this June 1st webinars? How do we get access to it? And to prevent Zoom bombing, we'll be sending out emails to all of the people who are registered on your camp registration page. So those are the, when you registered with us, you had to list some key adult leaders. And so we will send information to those people. So if you haven't received those, Chris, have we sent those, Chris Bartel, have we sent those already, or are those going out this week? Those links.
Yeah, we'll actually send those out hopefully by tomorrow. We'll send them out as soon as they roll in. The camp directors and everybody are setting up those Zoom links, and so as soon as we get those in, everybody will get an email. They'll have buttons for our pre-breakout meeting, as well as all of the breakouts based on your camp, so you can check those out.
So yeah, and so I think the key thing is that for you to know is that if you haven't received an email from us by Friday, let's say noon, go ahead and reach out to Chris Bartel, Chris Harold, or myself. Our information will be, it's actually all over everywhere, but we'll make sure you have it to get to us, and we can do our best to get you there. Because one of the things that's happening is that for the last several months, Chris Harold and myself and Chris Bartel, we've been trying to manage kind of the theory of all the things that we're doing, and to kind of and for the last 30 days or so, have been trying to help assimilate the information that has, as we roll into being more sure as to what's going to happen and how things might roll out based on COVID guidelines and stuff like that. The one thing that is true is that the program is going to be kind of tweaking and changing as we go. Teresa and to all, we will do our best to let you know at least 2 weeks prior to arrival of what you can expect at camp, and then periodically, at least twice a month, you should get another email from us mid-June, letting you know about updates and the like. But I would check back if you wanted to every couple of weeks, and you'd be fine. But you really, especially that 2 week mark out, would be a good thing. Also, the thing that you should know is that as Chris, Harold, and I see this transition happening here in the next 7 days, is from a kind of a council centric communication approach to a camp centric communication approach. We'll be making that shift. And so the question is Camp Meriwether going to be here today? No. Just to let you know, Missy is trying to get her daughter married this summer or this weekend. And then Caitlin, our Camp Pioneer camp director, got married a week or so ago and is on her honeymoon this week. So, but all of them will be here next week and will be ready, and that transition will effectively happen. So starting around June 1st with these webinars, we'll initially give them a chance for them to show you their wares, where they stand today, and what kind of things that they may need to be tweaking. Each camp that you'll be going to, depending on what you've chosen, will have a different experience and things to expect and challenges and logistics. And so it'll look a little bit differently based on where we're standing. So let me go ahead and get to Ben here. Hey, Ben. So Ben's question is, if a scout or adult is fully vaccinated in the 2 weeks, are they still required to self-quarantine for 2 weeks? Well, first, I want to make sure that we do a better job at defining what we mean by quarantine. And we're just asking that you just participate in low risk activities for 2 weeks prior to you go. So what is it? So what would be a moderate risk activity? Well, I mean, I would say going on, any camp outs or stuff outside of your cohort. If you're still participating in sports and these types of things, those 2 weeks where you're going to be interacting with a bunch of other cohorts unmasked and things like that, those would be medium. And, going to a big old unmasked family reunion or to a show or, a Mariners game, which is something I'm planning on doing. Those would be considered, higher risk activities. And so we want to make sure that you come to camp healthy, and that the likelihood of you showing symptoms of COVID after you arrive is low. So being vaccinated allows you to participate in higher risk activities prior to coming to camp. Right. So that has been a change since our last thing. So if for some reason you cannot spend the 2 weeks prior doing low risk activities, then what we ask, and I don't want to use the word quarantine. I think it's the word that we were using was behavioral quarantine, but I think we all assume that quarantine means, I'm locked in my house and I don't do anything, which is not necessarily the case. If I'm going to be maintaining 6 foot of distance, being masked and all that stuff, then we'll be, kind of good to go. So if for some reason I can't, let's say I had a family who said back from Hawaii. And Chris, is that your, there you go, thank you. Coming back from Hawaii, a few days beforehand, I said, well, if you're not vaccinated, go ahead and go to CVS and get the COVID test thing. It's $25 for a 2-pack. So, it's definitely less expensive, and just test yourself before you come. Literally, you can do it that morning. And then arrive and just know that you're not going to be, in a situation where you can get other people sick. So yes, Ben, we have changed. If you're fully vaccinated, you can be more high risk activities, but we ask that you do your best to still, not go to, your version of, get some big band thing or fair or something like that. Okay. I'm hoping that kind of answered that. Again, camp director will not be here today, but we'll be there on Monday. It's Meriwether at cpcbsa.org. No, I'm sorry. At Meriwether at bsa.camp. cpcbsa.camp, right? Put it in there. Yep. Meriwether, take a camp, email to that name of the camp, Butte Creek, Meriwether, Baldwin, Pioneer, Clark, at bsa.camp. And that gets you to them now. It won't get you to Pioneer because, you know, she's on her honeymoon and she's probably not going to answer you. All right, Teresa, I think I answered your question. Are we going to be able to work on our own personal merit badges? Oh, I sure hope so. Are we going to watch other people give demonstrations? John, I think that this is one of those, the merit badge process. And again, every camp is going to run into it just a little bit differently. And by the way, thanks. Keep the questions coming. We're just going to keep nailing them down here as we go. And again, I'm assuming you can see this, but that the merit badge process is going to be one where there'll be time throughout the week where they'll be able to work on merit badges in an area. And so, and I would hope that the types of things that we do during that time where we provide instruction are the things that you need us to do, right? So if you show up to, let's say, you know, a kayaking merit badge, we may not go over the parts of the kayak and the paddle, right? But we will talk about safety and we'll teach you how to capsize. We'll teach you how to do the things that you need instruction on. But if you don't need instruction on it, you know, it'll be up to each scout for the most part, depending on the camp, how they're going to want to do that. And again, I wish, you know, show up on the first and figure out how that is going to go. So now that being said, if a scout, you know, wants to earn a bunch of merit badges, this is going to be kind of, I mean, a good year to do that because you're going to have, you know, 3 hours in every area in camp. And most scouts, when they go to camp, they don't do that. So let's say that you wanted to get environmental science and you wanted to get, you know, camping. That's a bad example because it's tough to get camping at camp. But let's say you want to get basketry and you want to get maybe finish cooking merit badge because you've done some of it. Some of that merit badge has to be done at home, or pioneering merit badge. Anyway, and so you come prepared and ahead of time or at night or during your free time, you work on the requirements that you can just do. Right? I mean, so if you're in pioneering, I'm going to have to show you probably how to do a bunch of the knots and the splices, but you can go practice them before you get tested on them. Right. And again, the lashing, right. But some of the other stuff I may not need to do. Right. So that's kind of how that's going to work out. So there won't be full instruction, right? So you're not going to go every day to a merit badge, get instruction on your specific merit badge every day for a week. That's probably not going to happen. But what you're going to do is have quality time with an instructor that will help you get the things that you can't do on your own for sure. And anything else will be golden. And we see that as being very beneficial for two reasons. One is that it gives a lot more opportunity for scouts to earn more merit badges. And two, for the scout to show some independence and, you know, a little bit of intestinal fortitude and perseverance to go out there and complete these merit badges on their own, as opposed to have somebody, you know, helicoptering over them to help them ensure that they get it done. Greg Davis, I don't want to answer this question. If the government opens up the state at the end of June, will this give camps more flexibility? Well, we think so. We think so. So the what he's referring to is that the current guidelines are tied to the Oregon state of emergency. At the end of June, the state of emergency it comes to the end of its time period, and either needs to be extended or it just, you know, it just falls away. And then all the guidelines that we currently have revert back to the old ones and just become suggestions. Greg, I would tell you that I don't know how we're going to handle that when that happens, because I'll tell you this for sure, is that we won't be able to go completely back to normal. because partly is that we haven't had the opportunity to hire to, most of our planning has been based on these kind of cohorting models and the like. So, however, it will add for more flexibility. And that is probably a message that we want to give you today, is that I would say that there's going to be more flexibility between now and camp than there is today. And with that, they will, and we'll know more. On Thursday, we meet with our COVID task force to go over the new state guidelines, and we're waiting on another update that's coming from the state that will affect camps with regard to cohorting. And so we're not ready to do that, other than to share what the current guidelines are. So, Phyllis, Chris, jump in here. I just feel like I'm on a roll. So, if it does not pass the swim test, will they still be able to use the boats and canoes, etc.? Only if they have a swimmer who is a BSA lifeguard. It depends on where they end up in the swim test, and those haven't changed. Those are the same BSA guidelines if you were to show up at any camp. So depending on who your buddy is in the boat will determine, and what watercraft you are in will determine your ability to get in them. And so you can check the Guide to Safe Scouting and for those guidelines based on the safety afloat abilities and the like. That's not different. Chris, you want to take Josh's, and I'll look down below.
Yes, I do. A guide or a video aimed at parents directly tells them the rules and sets expectations. Thank you very much for that. So I would start specifically, Josh, with the 2 pages in the planning guide that explicitly states, here are the COVID-related procedures. It's 2 full pages in explicit detail about thou shalt not. As it stands as of, it was 5/17 when that one was published. So that, and I can put the link into the chat as well so that you've got that handy. So that's, and that is meant to be consumed and digested and understood by everybody. So yeah, it's a great question, and it's a good way to roll it out, is to have that done. Because it changes so often, keep pace on that. Now know that your camp director is going to be the camp management is going to be in contact with you within 2 weeks before camp starts, both to talk about cohorting and arrival times and all that kind of stuff, but also to confirm special needs, all that sort of stuff, but also to make sure your questions are answered related to that, and they'll have the most up-to-the-minute information at that point as well. We've all seen this change so many times. The current best source is that 2-page summary that really describes it. It's pretty easy to read. It's bulleted on all that kind of thing. So that's our best resource for right now. And I appreciate the suggestion too on the video that sets the expectation. That's good. Thank you. Are any merit badges going to be offered at Scouts BSA summer camps? Or is the cohort rotation plan not going to make this feasible? As we stand today, there will not be merit badge classes that you sign up for and go to 1 hour a week. That's not going to happen. That said, for Scouts BSA, you'll be able to go to each program area twice during the week. I think all 3 camps adopt the same strategy of an hour and a half twice during the week in each area of camp, where you'll have a dedicated instructor. They'll also have activities that are not merit badges in each area as well. So it's so each camp is still fine tuning, and I know that makes it hard. Believe me, I know that makes it difficult, because you want to be able to roll out this plan to your scouts and adults and all that sort of thing. And at the same time, we want you to have a plan that you can rely on. So that's kind of the push-pull on that one. So if you want to sign up for environmental science merit badge, that's not a thing this year. But if you are in the nature area and want to work on the environmental science merit badge, That is a thing this year. So it's kind of nuanced, but that's how that
Well,
works.
Chris, I think that I don't know. I mean, this is probably a much better question for Monday specifically, because different camps are going to be handling it different ways.
Yes, this is true. Yes.
And so if you look on if you look on in a merit badge, I was looking at, I think, Pioneer or pick one, and they said, okay, here's the merit badges that we're offering, right? They're going to be prepared for those merit badges, right, to help guide people through them. And I think in a lot of cases, what's happening, I know this at Baldwin and at Pioneer, I'm still Meriwether's program has made some kind of leaps and jumps in the last couple of days, so I'm kind of interested to see how it actually shapes out. But I mean, what would happen is, let's say that you go to Pioneer and 2 cohorts will show up at Pioneer, and let's say they'll offer 4 merit badges. So those 2 cohorts will have places to sit at 4 different merit badges or 3 different merit badges or whatever, where they can sit with their cohort and get some program for that merit badge. It won't be requirement 1 through Z, A through Z, but it will be, that we probably will nail those ones that require instruction, and any other ones that we think we can get done in that 3-hour time that you have with them. So, so yes, we are offering merit badges at camp. I want to make that clear. We are offering merit badges at camp. But what that means to us is that we're going to get our scouts most of the way there and ask them to go all the way on their own, as opposed to show up every day, and if you do everything that we ask you to and come to class every day and participate, you can get the merit badge, right? Because you're only going to be able to come twice. And this kind of goes to Craig's question down below. I want to jump into that. And I'm sorry you're having Zoom problems, Craig. And again, if you need to get in touch with me specifically about the mile swim, is kind of an interesting award, and please look it up online. And that is that it requires, the mile swim program is not a deal where you go in and you swim a mile, right? You're supposed to build up, and you're supposed to have at least a minimum of 4 hours of training, right? And so, and that has to happen over the course of a minimum of 4 days. So if you're only going to the waterfront, let's say twice in a week, that's going to make the mile swim impractical. And so that's why that can you work on the mile swim while you're working on swimming merit badge? Probably you can, depending on what that merit badge is kind of working on. But again, I don't see mile swim working with our current models that we're working on as far as programming currently. So I don't know if that helps. And then Mr. Pratt, the emails are coming out tomorrow. Please let us know on Friday if you don't have those links. The reason we haven't sent them all to you is that we're updating all the links today and ensuring that they are the right links that can hold the right capacity before we send it out to you, which is why you don't have them today. And you should have them tomorrow. But if you don't have them by Friday, please let us know. All right, you want to take Christy's, Chris?
Yeah, you bet. Christy, cohort splitting to go in 2 different locations. So that's an interesting. So the first part of the question, can they split? That is possible. So here's the hypothetical. I know you gave a hypothetical. I'm going to change it up a little bit. So hypothetically, and this gets at another question a little later down. Kyle's question about cohorts picking which area they want to be at. Currently, and I know this, Todd's used that word a lot, I'm using that word a lot. Currently, cohorts will receive a schedule of which area on which day that they go to. So that's pre-programmed. They know where to be, when to be there, all that sort of thing. And so that is pre-programmed. They get an opportunity, they get a shot at every area. So for a cohort to split, if some do not wish to attend that area, let's just, dartboard, pick nature. You don't want to go to some of the kids don't want to go to nature. They've got the activities that are there aren't interesting to them today, or they just want to shake it up and do something different. They need an adult to go with them, according to the current guidelines. And they could go not to a program area, but they could go on a hike. They could go to the beach. They could hang around in the campsite with an adult. That if they have that extra adult to be there with them. Again, that's according to the current state guidelines, that is the requirement for our cohort supervision. So then just Christy, to be put a little bit more fine point on that, when you're talking about scouts some going to Trail of First Class and some going to merit badge areas, no is the answer there, because your cohort will have a schedule set up for them already, so that that's your cohort's dedicated time at that area, and no other cohorts get to come into that area at that. Well, no more than the assigned cohorts get to come to the area at that time. So there's that part, but they do need adult supervision. Is Baldwin doing the Wrangler program? I think that's a question for, like all the program specific questions, that's one for the pre-camp leader meeting for sure, the camp specific one. How many adults per cohort?
So Chris, the ranch camp that you're talking about is happening at Butte Creek at the beginning and at the end of the summer. So just to say that, and we still have plenty of openings, and that's a week-long program, and you don't have to bring an adult. So it's kind of like, sleepaway camp where you just go and you do that program. During that week of ranch camp, you get assigned a horse. It's your job to take care of that horse all week long. It's got a lot of, learning how to be a rancher. So that's that program. As far as the Wrangler program, we're going to have probably a version of horsemanship there. And those people who want to get horsemanship should have the ability, depending on how much work they're willing to do. But we're going to definitely try to get our part done as far as working with the horses and all that. Horses will come at a cost, just to let you know, and come prepared. I haven't seen, I can't imagine that they're going to be much different, but those will be one of our value added programs that you're going to need to pay for, mainly because horses just, every horse is a $2,500 bill, and we have to figure out how to pay for them.
Okay, next question about how many adults are needed per cohort, and can they cross cohorts for advancement? Cardinal rule on cohorts is cohorts never mix. What is mixing? Mixing is I'm going to be close to you for 15 minutes or more over the course of a day. Can't do that. So if from a different cohort, okay, that's the cardinal rule. So that said, let's say you have a troop of 10, you need 2 adults, just like always. If you have a troop of 30, you need, well, you would need 1 adult at least per cohort. But the trick of that one is, because then your troop would still meet the youth protection standards. But the trick of that one is that 1 adult per cohort is on 24/7. So I would plan 2 adults per cohort if you can manage it. That is going to be a good rule of thumb to go by on that.
Chris, I got to go back because Christy asked clarifying all the way on the bottom. So when you come as a unit, right, you're going to bring a minimum of 2 adults where you're required to do so, that are registered with the Boy Scouts of America. All right, that is required. And then you should have no one-on-one contact with any youth at any time, right? Other than maybe your own, right? So those are the rules that you need to talk about. So if I'm in a cohort, and I'm at camp, right? And the best I want to have is that I just want to make sure that I'm not in a situation where I can be one-on-one with a scout. So and the state currently requires that the adults actually go with them to the programs, right? So in between the programs and the like. So if you're walking down a trail, 1 adult and 10 or 12 kids, you're not considered one-on-one contact, right? And you're still within the 2 adult rules because you have 2 adults in camp. And so and so I know it's a nuance, but that is how it's interpreted, and how you can again do things. You need to have a male and female leaders if you're going to have you need to have a female leader if you're going to have female scouts. But that female scout leader does not necessarily have to be assigned to the cohort where the females are in. They just have to be available while you're at camp. Because while you're at camp, as far as the BSA is concerned, you're still a unit, right? And so, but it is our recommendation that you assign 2 registered BSA adults to every cohort so that you can maintain, ensure that you can have 2 adults at all times. So let's say your cohort's hanging back, right? Because they don't want to go do the thing, right? And I'm an adult and I decide to go shower, right? And then all of a sudden everybody else disappears but one scout who didn't want to shower, right? And so now I'm at camps all by myself with 1 scout. I'm in trouble, right? So I'm not sure if that answers the question, but that's how we evaluate it.
Great. Okay, and then just a note on the board of review that you were mentioning, Christy. That is, it's still doable to do at camp. It's just got to be done distantly, right? You just got to maintain that distance. So the adults, if they're from just different cohorts, can't mix together, and the youth, if they're from different cohorts, also cannot. So it just have to be done in a distanced way.
And again, I'm not, we promised that we would not share any policies that haven't come to fruition. But I would tell you that having most to all of your adults vaccinated versus not would be helpful in all of these questions that you're having.
Yeah.
I believe that will be the case.
It's tricky talking about these in the light of what might be, and we don't want to talk about what might be until it is.
But regardless, if the more vaccinated youth and adults that you bring, I believe the more flexibility that you will have. I can't guarantee it because I haven't had the meetings yet, and the state still is changing stuff, but I think you can count on that.
Marcellus is asking how much of the camp meals at Meriwether will be in the campsite. At Camp Meriwether, the current plan is for all the meals to be in the campsite, but prepared by the camp. So you would have your meal. Well, they may have a camp insight. They may have a meal where you cook it in your campsite like usual, like most years. But the plan currently is to have all the meals in the campsite. We've got additional shelters that we've purchased for that purpose, so that people can have a spot that's covered inside their campsite. Because so that's.
So think Grubhub, cohort Grubhub.
So they'll pick up their meals at a designated spot at a designated time, and then and they'll be nicely packaged so they can be brought back to the campsite easily. Adults will need to serve those meals to the youth. So we're all getting lessons in servant leadership this summer. Okay. How many instructors will staff the various merit badge centers? So that's going to vary some between the areas and between the camps. This next statement's very general and not specific to any particular area, but typically there will be 3 staff and 3 cohorts at the area, typically.
2 for Pioneer.
Two cohorts, 2 staff at an area. And those staff then, so the cohorts will need to remain distant, but they'll have your designated person. And think of that compared to a normal summer at any summer camp. Most merit badge classes per se have big loads. I mean, I've seen classes of 50 plus. And so to have a single cohort there is pretty luxurious. And also, again, as a former classroom teacher, the student to teacher ratio plus the adults there, and there's going to be an expectation that the adult who comes along with the youth is helpful in each of the program areas. I mean, the best phrase that our area staff can hear this summer is, how can I help? They're going to be looking for your assistance in helping the scouts get as far as they can.
So I think this also, it gets missed on this in that, remember when you come to any scout summer camp, there's probably, let's say 15 to 20 merit badge counselors there, you know, and specialized for each of those program areas. So if you showed up with prepared, you know, to have a meeting with a counselor and for a merit badge that's not being done there, but kind of fits with that area, or let's say you as a troop want to take on communications merit badge yourself through that week since you have the time, that's all doable. That's all doable, right? It just is going to require more involvement of the scout to complete the requirements, since there won't be an active merit badge class going on to go over all of that.
John is asking about during free time, will we be forced to stay with our troops, or will we be able to wander around? So it kind of depends. Depends what you're referring to as free time and wandering. I kind of addressed that a little bit with the going to the different areas of camp. That those are scheduled out when cohorts get to be there. As an individual adult, if you do not have responsibilities with your cohort, so let's say you have 3 adults with a cohort, and 2 of the adults want to take a break and wander down to the training post. We're working on our training post, for example, to have a service window so that you could purchase a snack there or something when it wasn't your cohort's designated time to be at the training post. So that's part of it. So, I mean, wandering around, yes. Going to different program areas, no.
Yeah, I think that this is just to make, I see Chris stumbling a little bit. The logistics of this will be camp dependent, and depending on what resources are there that people may want to enjoy when they're not actively involved in an activity. And again, Meriwether is a really good example because everybody likes to hang out at the beach. Well, you just can't have necessarily free for all at the beach unless everybody's assigned a space, which is definitely possible since it's 2.5 miles of beach. So, so I kind of want to divert that one, but the idea being is that if you are not with your cohort, you know, it is assumed that you're going to be, for the most part, be in only approved activities that the camp will assign, of which your campsite and possibly the shower house are 2 of those. What other things are going to be available will be very camp dependent, and I'll leave it up to them to deal with that, especially since they're still trying to come up with the logistics of what does that look like.
Okay.
Trey,
you're talking. Oh, sorry. Skylar is talking about merit badge counselors and adult leader training opportunities. Adult leader training opportunities, I would not expect them to be there and be pleasantly surprised if there were. Opportunities to work directly with youth, that would be plentiful, and opportunities to gain additional trainings as an adult leader, probably not.
By the way, we as a council are working on a September training to do a lot of the at Meriwether, to do a lot of the trainings that you would have gotten at summer camp, because of the difficulty of the logistics, and also we believe that things will open up even further by the time we get to September, October. So just to let you know, kind of keep that on your schedule if you're in the Cascade Pacific Council, if you're needing, paddlecraft safety, or some of these other ones, including we'll be offering a NRA training and a climbing training and outdoor ethics training, all somewhere between. I'm getting those dates, but somewhere probably between the end of August through the mid-October.
And then merit badge counselors, those would be our camp staff, and certainly your troop is able to. Those cohort adults, if they are merit badge counselors, they're certainly able to work with the youth on those things. Just like your older scouts are certainly able to work with the younger scouts on trail to first class kinds of activities. And again, what a great leadership development experience that'll be. So that part. Family camp, is it only at Clark this year? Family camp's going to be, Todd, you're probably going to want to fine tune this one, but it's going to be offered at different camps at different times as we can
So the
squeeze it in.
the summer program for cohort and family camping is about, I mean, we're pretty close. My guess is we do have the Memorial Day family programs happening. We still have room this weekend, and the one in Labor Day are still pretty open. And also for those of you Scout BSA units, we will be having cohort camping on the weekends all summer at Cooper. But if that's not up now, it'll be up here very soon. And so we are looking at offering some other family adventures, probably at Baldwin and at Clark and Meriwether as we work out the details of all of that. So just kind of let you know, but what I know for a fact is that we will have family camping at Meriwether Clark in Memorial Day and Labor Day, and that you should be look forward to, and no family camping opportunities most likely until August from after this weekend, at least that we're offering.
Trey is asking about having lots of adults, but not mixing cohorts and being mixed on the travel here. A little clarification on that, Trey. The expectation on that is that from the time you leave home until the time you return home, that a cohort is a cohort. So you're not traveling as a troop, even if you're all on the same plane, same bus, same whatever. The cohort is the cohort is the cohort from start to finish. That's how we avoid the mixing piece of the puzzle. That's how we all arrive at camp healthy and stay healthy throughout. And that's, I know that's a big ask, and that is the expectation that our state has placed upon us, and what they believe is the best way to go in this situation as the current rules stand.
Well, and if you're traveling to here, it's in your best interest to do that, because if for some reason someone does come down with COVID for whatever other reason, they're going to contract trace you. And
the whole cohort gets a time.
And all of a sudden, all of you can't get on a plane to go home, right? Yeah, no. And so so something you may want to take a look at. Hey, Christy, I want you said something here that is very much on my heart, and that I understand, and I meant to start with this. So thank you for stimulating this idea of communication. It is not lost on me that each and every one of you on the call here today, and that have been emailing me or calling us or all this, are representing a large cacophony of nervous, questioning people, and you're just trying to do your level best to get them answers and to assure them that it's all going to work out. I know that's hard for you, and I want you to know that I recognize that. I don't know that I have. We're going to do our level best to try to communicate to you guys as often as possible as what we know when we know it. This has been a very tenuous situation for, I think, everybody trying to run a camp, not just scout camps. And so I just want to thank you very much for your understanding and patience and going through this as we go. And Teresa, we're not telling you to have a limit on adults that you bring. All right. What we're suggesting is don't bring way more than you need. All right. And only you are going to know that. I've been part of units where if I didn't have 4 extra adults in addition to what it would be normally required, there's no way we'd get along with the week, because there are some scouts that need intervention. And if I had to do that intervention all by myself all week long, I wouldn't go. And so there's no one's going to know that better than you. But like I said, we want to be very careful about how many. How many campsites are going to be split for cohorts? Well, most of our campsites are at least 2 patrol campsites, and so that there'll be at least two cohorts there. And I know that to some extent that makes you all go, oh my God, how do I keep my troop, if I bring in 2 cohorts, separated during all of that, right? And so we're working on solutions to that. We don't have them. We've gotten everything from snow fence to putting different cohorts in different campsites as options. We don't have a solution for that, but that's you know, that's what I know as far as that's concerned. And Doug. Oh no, you Doug, if you're bringing your daughter to camp, you don't, you just, in theory, Cub Scout camp is interesting because it's, for the most part, it's a family camp, and because we almost have a 1-to-1 ratio. So what happens is we have to ensure that if let's say that you are to bring a dad to camp, right, and you have 4 boys and 3 girls, but no moms that wanted to come, right? So we need to find a mom to be part of your cohort for you to be at camp. And we always do. So that mom becomes part of your cohort with that. So we make you a situation like that. And we are allowed a little bit more flexibility when that happens. But if you run into a situation where the male and female or whatever issues that you're having to get yourself to camp is a challenge based on our guidelines, just let us know. Let your camp director know, and we'll be able to help you. But Doug, for sure, you can bring your daughter anywhere in scouting that you want. And so now, again, the guidelines for Cub Scouts versus Scout BSA are different. So in Scout BSA, you still need to have that female adult leader. But if you can have a trouble finding that female adult leader to come, let us know. We'll see what we can do to help.
Paul's got a question on the program guide, Scouts in a cohort, and that's a good question. Average 10, that's gonna be average. The camp director is gonna have communication, well, couple of things. As a troop leader, if you're bringing 30 scouts, you have 3 cohorts for sure. If you're bringing 27 cohorts, you probably also have 3 cohorts. So there will be, if you're bringing 4 scouts, you will be sharing a cohort with scouts from another group, most likely. And so that's an interesting dynamic as well. But it's good to bring it up. But 10 is going to be the average. We can go up to 12. We can go down to 8. We can have a little flex with that, and that'll be an ongoing conversation too as you do that. Now, the state says, and this may be going too deep, but the state of Oregon says you can have up to 30 in a cohort, which sounds great and exciting and wonderful and fun, except that you get 1 case of COVID, that whole 30 people, they're in timeout. They're in quarantine until we find out what's going on with the sick person. And so the smallest workable group is what the state is asking us to have. And that 10 to 12 keeps things semi-close to a patrol or a den size, and makes delivering the program more workable in that situation, and it keeps people safe. So that's the workout on there. And so again, so if you're traveling as a cohort from start to finish, that brings up another point, by the way, of how do you plan for that, especially as a troop. As a troop, you know, all the gear gets schlepped into the trailer and hauled out to the camp and that kind of thing. And then everybody scrambles around the trailer to get their gear out. And so I wouldn't plan that way for this summer. Each cohort should plan how they're going to get their gear to camp. They're acting as their own independent entity. And so that the gear should be separate, the people should be separate, the planning and transportation should be separate. So there's that.
So we do not require anybody to be vaccinated. However, it is clear to me that there will be certain situations about masking and social distancing and some other guidelines that will be affected by one's vaccination status. They'll be looser than if you're not vaccinated. Again, those are through the state guidelines, and we're reviewing those currently with our COVID task force. But we are not NOT requiring vaccinations. And if you can have low risk activity only for 2 weeks prior, we're not requiring testing, right? If you can't, then be vaccinated or test, right? But if you can spend a couple weeks, doing what you kind of normally do and not necessarily mixing, and creating situations where you're in more than low risk activity, then that'd be great. So our cousin, oh yeah, and again, we're just not requiring. And Kyle, this will be a good question for the first, with regard to what does it look like? Different camps are looking at it slightly different. I know, and I don't want to throw rocks, but we've gone into one scenario where you show up and you are given a staff member who guides you all the way through anything you want to do. That person is your hour and a half worth of person. And if that means for 15 minutes, you all go and do a hike and learn something like this, while other people maybe are working at a table on some other things. So everybody, and we'll just, everybody's sitting in a room. I mean, not in a room, but in a space, and we're gonna do our level best.
Just a thing there. Our audience doesn't know what the question is that we're answering.
Oh, I'm sorry. When the cohort goes to an area like waterfront, say 4 scouts want to do paddleboard, 2 want to fish, can the cohort divide or different activities in the same area? So yes and no. So we do have camps that are looking at potentially, so you show up and you have to decide on one of the activities that are happening there. Let's say that let's say there's 3 activities, 2 are merit badges and one's a non-merit badge experiential activity, and so you'll go and you'll sit in your cohort space in that merit badge activity thing, and that is what you'll do in that area. Or you'll be given your own staff member who will guide you through the entire time that you're there. Are 2 of the methods that we've been hearing, and there may even be a third option. So this is one of those things that is in very much, because what we're trying to do is that we keep hearing from you and from others as to what your needs are and your frustrations and challenges with certain ideas. And then the state comes in with new guidelines which says, hey, maybe we can do more things. And we change. And so please, Kyle, I think that's a great answer for Monday. Our goal is that a scout comes into an area, and again, I'm thinking Scout BSA, and they want to earn a merit badge, that a staff member will be there to help guide them through the process. So given the scout's ability and interest to complete some stuff on their own, that scout can earn that merit badge if it can be earned at camp. Right? And so now let's take some merit badges that are probably unlikely, because they're normally unlikely. Archery and rifle. We're going to do BBs, archery, and rifle at our camps. All right, just want to let you know it's going to happen. But how do you get enough shooting time in this scenario so that you can qualify on rifle? We'll do our best, right? And so we may spend more time shooting, because that's the hard thing for you to do, is getting all the targets you need, right? And so that way you can try to do the other requirements on your own. And so since we're normally you have an hour and a half every day, let's say in the morning, and then you come back in the afternoon to shoot. It's that tough of a merit badge. So I mean, we want to temper people's expectations there. Okay, I know
some
that
questions on chat. And there's a question about referring to Monday. Yeah, and you're right. We're not having the pre-camp leaders meeting on
I keep saying Monday because
in
my mind the first is
Tuesday.
Monday, because the first is always on a Monday in my brain, because like
Tuesday, June 1st. Tuesday, June 1st.
Tuesday, June 1st. Sorry.
That's
Monday,
okay.
I'll be at the house. Probably doing work. All right, Jeff, the plan guide talks about cohort roster and troop roster. I did not see those forms.
They're still coming out.
We should have those very, very soon. We've been working on making them consistent across the board is what we're trying, but it may be that Cub Scouts and Scout BSA get different forms. Um, from my email, how many adults per cohort? I think we've talked about that one. An example for a committee board review. Again, I think that you can still remember that as long as you stay 6 feet away and mask, you can pretty much, and be outside, you can pretty much do whatever you want, right? You can do a court of honor if you can figure out how to do all that. And the guidelines may not be that strict. So I'm hoping that that answers the question about board's review and how to interact with adults at camp. Do all scouts need to attend each activity together, or can they split up or stay at campsite with a buddy? That's up to you. As far as staying at campsites, they can't split up. So let's say they want to work on a merit badge that's not being offered, or they're going to the waterfront and they just don't do water, or whatever it might be. Or, sometimes, they need a nap. I know I do. And that's up to you and your adult leaders to figure out. But I do not believe that they can choose to go do activity A, B, or C or in camp. I think that if they're not in their rotation area, that they may need to be in their campsite. But again, the camp might have a different idea, or shower, or whatever that might be. So kind of look for each camp to identify, okay, if you're not in your program area or in your campsite, where can you be? And they'll have to talk about that. I'm just going to try to whip through some of these questions here, Chris, and you get prepared to handle Skylar here in a second. In the camp guide, it states that adults are required at all scouting activities. Does that mean that the adults will be following the scouts to all things and not back at the campsite? So the youth in camp need to have the state guidelines state that youth need to be supervised at all times by staff. And so while you're at summer camp as an adult, the adults are considered staff. And so you'll need to ensure that the youth are supervised at all times. So that hopefully that answers that question. So it all depends on how many adults you bring and what the scouts need to do. If that's something you can handle, then you can. If not, then they got to go to the area. It is our plan to make sure that there's something exciting for somebody to do in an area, even if they don't want to do the merit badge. And so that'd be something that might be interesting and that would keep them busy, make them feel a challenge and some sense of adventure. When will the arrival time be given to your troop? Great question for June 1st. At least a week prior to coming. Most likely it'll be at least 2 weeks prior to coming. But
for those troops coming from further away, if your travel arrangements required specific arrival times, that kind of thing, please reach out to your camp ahead of time and they'll get that rolling ahead of time. I know some people who are, yeah.
All right, go ahead, Chris.
Oh,
I'll look at the questions from the emails.
Oh, you're gonna look at those? Okay, so.
And you do, Sky. I didn't read Skylar's.
Oh yeah, okay. So leader splitting a week, that is possible. The leader who's splitting a week needs to be on the roster before you ever show up at camp. So that needs to be like a scheduled thing. I think it's been a little loosey-goosey at times where people show up at camp and go find the troop instead of going to check in. Got to check in first, got to make sure that person's got all the things. They have to do the behavioral quarantine stuff ahead of time, like anyone else, even if they're splitting a week. They're considered part of that cohort for all the contact tracing and all those sorts of things that we might have to do. So that would be just a point of communication for sure, that we do have a leader coming in later. What we would not want is a different leader every day. Cohorts are allowed to have like one changeover. So plan for that for sure. And that would be that. So if you have to sub out more than one leader, I would be on the same day. Remember, that's per cohort, it's not per troop. So if you have, it's one per cohort, you want to swap them out just one time.
Okay, I got one here. I have a question about the cohort size and our linked troops. We have 3 girls attending summer camp and 11 boys. We'll be allowed to keep them in the same cohort or 2 cohorts of 7. I don't know. we will do our best to do what makes sense. It is okay for us to mix cohorts of boys and girls. That is okay. We have that confirmed from every source that we could check with, and that is totally all right. However, if they are from your unit, you will need to make sure that the right mixture works, right? Because I know that if my sister and I were in the same cohort, that may not have worked when I was younger. And so it's up to you. And so, and again, just for fun, just to see if I could I did all the whole, just for fun, not just to see if I could do it. And I've thrown it away, but I did all of Meriwether's cohorts for the summer, just to see how it'd be done, because of our most complicated cap and all that stuff. And I think the largest cohort size was 13. And because when they got to 14, I made 2 cohorts of 7. But I don't know. It all depends on the week and the things like that. Heather, I'm hoping you're still on, has 12 scouts coming for Cub Scouts. Do you suggest that the organizer determine the cohorts? Well, if you have 12 scouts coming to camp all together, you are probably going to be a cohort. So your pack will be one cohort. That's what I would do in that given example. If you're going to have, more than that, let's say that you're going to have 14 or 15 scouts coming, then I would want you to at least plan on splitting it in half the best that you can. But you'll probably be contacted by a camp director to figure that stuff out. Hopefully in enough time to get that nailed down. Chris, I believe that we have answered all the questions that I see on here. So I'm going to
we've tried.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've addressed them all the best we can. So I want to share with you, I think my greatest fear. Well, I have lots of fears, but one in pertaining to operating this summer, and actually that happens now, not so much when we get to camp, but now, and that is that we become change paralyzed, and not understand that, or not open ourselves up to the opportunity that something new could happen and will happen, right? We may find out that through this method of being forced to change, that we will we will want to continue to do some stuff this way because it was so popular. Let's say that we decide that we just want to try out, escape room. So you come into an area, and to escape the campsite or whatever the space is, you need to accomplish certain things. And it's so wildly popular that we'll always have different escape rooms and things like that, right? And more experiential based things. I would hope that that's an outcome. We may find that some scouts just really prefer to be on their own to figure out their merit badges, not be tied to a merit badge class. Huh. Well, maybe we should provide more opportunity for that. Normally we kind of do, but we don't. So the other thing is that if you're like most people, and I'm hoping that your scouts have been able to do stuff, and I know lots of scout troops have, but the idea of being able to get out into some of the most beautiful, scouting property in the country, 2.5 miles of oceanfront beach right on the eastern side of Mount Hood, up into the ridge line, the timber line of Mount Jefferson, our horse ranch, all these things that we've got going on this summer to provide a safe, creative, educational adventure for every scouts. It's something that we all desperately want and need and should be anticipating. If you've been getting any emails from me lately, you might have seen my quote, and I truly believe this, and that is, let's go outside, get dirty, and find that much anticipated next version of ourselves. And I think that we need to leave ourselves open for that to happen for each and every one of us, and all the scouts that we have. The fact it's a little scary that you don't know what's going to happen, and that kids are going to run into this with a little bit of challenge and adversity under their belt, forced to be more prepared than normal to go to camp, is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. We need to embrace it and turn it into what it is, which is a new experience that they'll remember the rest of their life. All right, that was my closing thing. So if we have more questions,
FJ was asking about the timing of the leader meeting on Tuesday. 6:30 p.m. is the council portion of it, and then that'll be half hour to 45 minutes, and then we'll bounce straight into the links. It'll be a separate link for each camp, so that it can be recorded and saved, and others who missed the meeting can get access to it easily. So 6:30 is when it starts. Links are going out via email here later this week. Hey, I want to share before we go, just a quick thank you to everyone who took the time to do this, and people who are taking the time to try and get their kids and their adult leaders ready. And I'm sure you feel a lot like we do it many times, as you say, okay, here's the plan, here's what it is. And then we turn around and, well, here's the other part of the plan. That gets old. So thanks for hanging with it. Your patience, your persistence, your flexibility. We're all getting it tested. We'll be like, what's that motto I keep hearing some of my colleagues? Semper Gumby. Always flexible. So anyway, thank you. Really, it's a partnership, and we'll get it. We'll get her done.
Awesome. Well, I tell you, I just really appreciate all the work that you guys and the team has done, and the COVID task force. It has been just it has been nothing short of a struggle and frustration at times. But I know from my scouts' perspective, they're super excited to get back outdoors and having these awesome adventures. And by the way, gang, for those of you going to Meriwether and want to ride bikes, we get to ride bikes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because the bikes that are brand new are super cool. So everybody should really get excited about that.
Baldwin's got an upgraded fleet too.
Oh, nice. So lots of goodies, and so many great things have been happening at camp during all of this. And so it's fun to see. It's fun to get back out there. I know people are super, super excited about it. The kids are excited about it. The parents are excited about it. I know it's been frustrating for one and all. And I tell you, this team has been amazing in terms of just being on top of it and dealing with multiple counties and multiple states. And we got these great properties, but it isn't an easy task when you've got all of these great places that you get to take scouts to. So it's been amazing. So thank you guys, and thank you to our COVID task force for just being on top of it. It's been really impressive. So everybody keep watching your emails, and because we will have these links out to you as soon as possible. The teams are putting them together, so we will have those links to you, and so you'll have those as soon as we get them. We'll also, of course, send out compass points with all the links to all the other goodies in the news section of today. So there's a lot going on. We've got tons happening here in the CPC, and it's just super, super exciting. Speaking of which, so a couple of upcoming webinars for you folks to pay attention to is we've got merit badge counseling how-to guides happening on June 2nd. So we're going to do that, as well as an annual program planning tools webinar on June 9th. Now that's going to be really great. Both of these kind of coincide with all the marketing stuff we've been talking about, summer camp planning, all of this stuff all plays together well. We've got some new tools for everybody for planning purposes. So, because I know we're all excited to get back at it, at scouting for realsies. And this really kicks it off here with summer camp. So thanks everybody for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. Just can't thank all of you enough. Just like the team said, that you have all been working really hard to keep scouting during all of this and keep kids engaged. And we really appreciate it. And the kids do. And you have all shown grit. That is for sure. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will have this recording to you, of course, at cpcbsa.org/webinars. And we'll have this to you in email. Thanks again for joining us. And we will see you next week.